All right, now getting into your house lords. Now your house lords work like this. This is supposed to play out like your true natures, how you supposed to move. See, the problem in the world is we move like other people or ways of the world because of the magic square and whoever run the world and the resources. So we feel uncomfortable with doing things how we truly think or feel because we have to participate in certain ways. So we have to restructure an idea. Now here's the thing. When we have certain alignments that don't align with certain things of the world, how other people alignments work with these things, but we're all trying to do the same thing, a lot of times this built up our own frustration that we have because it ended up taking us more steps to reach a goal than another individual. So we might miss opportunities based upon we could be going elsewhere doing something that's way more easier than us. That'd be hard for that individual to do that we're looking at based upon sharing careers and curriculums. So we all have a gift or talent everywhere. So it don't matter. But at the end of the day, it don't matter what we're trying to do. If we're doing things in our own way, we're always going to experience more success than rejection. So it really don't matter what we're trying to do as long as we're doing it in our own way. So for the most part, keep that in mind also. And that's just what this about. The house lords. So it don't matter what you're doing as long as you're being yourself. So you could be doing something that don't have anything to do with a career or anything. But as long as in this area of life you're being yourself, things will manifest for whatever that you're trying to do to go more in your favor because you won't be carrying any blemishes or baggages from miscellaneous faces that's not truly yours, but you have utilized these things for comfortability because of society in some way, shape, or form. Now, your first house lord. Now, your first house lord is Venus because Libra rules your first house. So wherever area Venus is at, that's where you need to take all the first house energy. And that's when you're going to have things go more in your favor than experiencing rejection in some way, shape, or form. So Venus is in the 10th house. So the more you take your personality, things in the first house, your personality, personal issues and affairs, insecurities, and your personal interests, right? And apply these things to wherever Venus is at. The 10th house, what you're known for. Everybody is known for something. I'm known for astrology. So everybody, even if it's negative, everybody known for something. But apply that energy to whatever you're known for, how you're seen, your status will ultimately can become your career. Let's say you're known for something negative, right? As long as you personally own it, you will still manifest and attract more energies than other individuals that's around you. So the more you take your personal interests or issues or insecurities and put this in the area of being broadcasted, making it part of what you're known for, how you're seen, your status will ultimately can become your career, your popularity level. And as long as it's back supported by Venus energy, love, appreciation, value, relatability, or compromising, the more you're going to have the keys to both of these individual houses to the point that anytime you're locked out on the line, you won't be left out to soak and be wet, aka be washed up under the current anytime you are experiencing trial or tribulation, aka a Job cloud over your head. Second house, you have Mars and Pluto, because Scorpio rules the second house. So, the outer planets are co-rulers. So we're going to start with the first one that's close to you, Mars, and then do that the same with Pisces house, the house that's Pisces in, and the house that Aquarius in. But we're going to start off with Scorpio. Mars is in the second house. So anytime you have the house lord in the house that it actually rules, you have power and control over that house. Now here's where your obstacles come from. You have to make sure you're not too power and controlling over that energy, but also make sure you're not too passive over that energy, because it can lead down the same destructive arena or area or experience in your life. Now, what energy are we actually talking about? For the most part, you have the second house lord in the second house. You have power and control over your values and what you have to offer to the world. So anytime you let someone that you actually value make you value something that you don't actually value more than you're supposed to actually value it, a whole lot of values out there. For the most part, that's your fault. You can't be placing blame on them. Because anytime you're going to manifest in your life is when you take spiritual responsibility for the things that you value. So if you're valuing the wrong individuals, you need to always chalk it up as it's your fault. And that's when you're always going to manifest. When you start to place blame and be in those days and weeks and months and years of placing blame and having that direct your actions into certain other areas, and you're jumping into other relationships based upon what the previous relationship done and not just being open and free as a full potential level as the next relationship. Yeah, these are situations that would manifest damnation in your life. Always be aware of that. But for the most part, the more you don't be too power and controlling over this area also. With trying to be too power controlling over the people, places, and things and your resources that you actually value. Kind of play this little equilibrium here, and then that's when you're able to manifest. Pluto is in the first house. So the more that you value your own personality, personal issues and affairs, and the ability for it to transform and take power and control over your personal life in some way, shape, or form, the more that this is going to be an attribute for your actual life that you need to utilize so it can manifest in other areas as positivity and prosperity. Third house, Sagittarius. So Jupiter is the lord of your third house. So you have Jupiter in the third house also. So you have power and control over your surroundings and your environment. You just have to make sure you're not being too power and controlling over your friends, the things that's in your surroundings and environment, and the people, places, and things you're familiar with. But make sure you're not being too passive also, because you can allow things to go too far and you still experience the catastrophic moment that you was trying to run away from. So be careful of that energy in this area. And that should rectify you in other different areas in your life too. You also have the fourth house. You have the fourth house, Capricorn, so Saturn runs here. So fourth house lord is in the second house. So the more you take home, family, domestic issues, or privacy, or the way you conduct your emotional stability, you need to start to value that area. Start to value home, family, and domestic issues and things of that nature. Start to plant seeds in that area. Start to make that area the area of life where you plant your self-esteem, where you build your self-esteem at. So try to count on close ones, not the outside world or people that you think you value, for emotional stability or support in some way, shape, or form. Fourth house, Capricorn. So Saturn rules the fourth house. So Saturn is in the second house. The more you take home, family, domestic issues, or however you gain emotional stability amongst yourself, and start to value that more. You're not valuing your emotions in this lifetime, so you need to start doing that so things can play out more in your outcome. I mean, the outcome can play more in your favor. So keep that in mind also. Fifth house, Saturn and Uranus. Now also with the fifth house lord being in the second house with Saturn, because you have to do these things, be more realistic and see things from a reality point of view. So even with the fifth house, your creativity, imagination, the way you conduct your creativity, aka your creative endeavors, fun and enjoyment, what you like to entertain, and how you and what you like to express from yourself, right? You need to start valuing that a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Whether it means you have to change, rebel, and oppose against the other individuals that you actually value. So your uniqueness and originality within reality can be expressed in some magnitude. Also with Uranus. Uranus is in the third house. You also need to start expressing yourself a lot more within your environment and then with your surroundings and the people, places, and things that you are familiar with, when it comes to your creative endeavors and how you like to have fun and enjoy yourself, or the things that you like to entertain, negative or positively. Not too much negatively on a high percentage level. Sixth house, you got Neptune, Neptune, Jupiter. So we're going to start with Jupiter. Jupiter's in the third house. So the more you take your work, health, routine, scheduling, or things you do on a day-to-day basis, or your responsibilities, and apply this within your surroundings, or dealing with your friends, or in your environment, or things that you are familiar with. Because these things need worked on. And Neptune also is there. So you have to do these energies when it comes to applying work to your surrounding, when it comes to your dreams, illusions, creativity, imagination, and fantasies, and also your meanings and reasons that you be putting behind things, and your wisdom and knowledge and your experiences in general. Seventh house, Aries. So Mars rules your seventh house. So seventh house lord in the second house. The more you take your relationships or how you relate to others, and start to value that a lot more. Start to plant seeds in that area so it can build your self-esteem. So there's something that you're doing where you're detaching from close ones or one-on-one type of scenarios within this life that you're in right now. And this is something that you kind of need to participate in and to actually manifest what you need to manifest. Or if you want to go another route, you just have to be a powerful and creative spirit. But for the most part, this is how you can have things go more in your favor than not. Eighth house, you got Taurus. So with the eighth house, you got Taurus here. So for the most part, this is Venus. So eighth house lord being in the 10th house. So the more you take your deep desires, passions, motivations, manipulative energies, or your ability to rise from ashes to ashes, to dust, to rise again as a phoenix. And the more you take that energy and apply it to Venus, where Venus at? The 10th house. The more you apply to being known for these things, making it part of your status. So there may be some secrets or things that you need to expose that you're probably afraid of vulnerability, but these things can actually be part of what you're known for if it's being broadcast properly. And it can be a success story or something that you're creatively into, as far as can turn into a career or your status or something that you can be known for. That can help out how you're seen. They help manifest maternal material efforts in your life. Ninth house lord is Mercury. So ninth house lord is in the 10th house. So the more you take your wisdom, knowledge, meanings, and reasonings, broad philosophical points of views of things, which you have been educated on, and your morality or about things, the more you take that, and also broadcast that energy, make that part of what you're known for, how you're seeing your status, will ultimately can become your career, your popularity level, because it actually can, especially dealing with things like spirituality or teaching in some magnitude. If you haven't already seen a lot of signs that's pointing you in that direction, but based upon the magic square, geographical location, our upbringing, and family, friends, and associates, and schooling, it may redirect us into doing other things in our lives, and we may not get to that point again until we get old. So, keep that in mind. Also, you're like a natural teacher in some way, shape, or form that you can take a lot of money off of. You just have to reach that area of what you're actually teaching. And you're always going to receive more success than rejection. AKA, you don't even have to know a lot of whatever you're teaching, but people rather hear from you than others. That's why you can see people on the internet right now who don't know a lot, but they get a lot of attention in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's all in the stars. And these people just wasn't scared to do that, whether they got highly rejected before they presented themselves on the internet or not. Not saying you have to do something on the internet. I'm just breaking things down in a perspective, so you can wire that perspective in the things that you see in your life and how it's constructed. Now, what house was that? That was the 9th house. Okay, so 10th house is the moon. You have that in the 2nd house. So there's some like a career status or what you're known for, how you're seen that you're not actually valuing. You need to value these things in this lifetime. Make these things part of what you have to offer to the world, whether people like it or not. You're always going to get from point A to point B and gain structure in your life a lot more sufficiently that way. And then 11th house, you have the sun. 11th house Lord is in the 10th house. The more you take your associations and what you are associated with and how you conduct yourself in a public arena, and start to broadcast these things. There may be individuals that you are around that you are associated with that if you was just to align yourself properly as far as organizing or creating a status around these things, things can partake a lot further than you think it would. And then you have the 12th house Lord, which is Mercury, and 12th house Lord, yeah, in the 10th house, which is Mercury. So for the most part, the more you take your dreams, illusions, creativity, imagination, and your fantasies, and apply these things, start to make these things part of what you're known for, how you're seeing your status, will ultimately can become your career or popularity level. Even if it's a mistake, a lot of times these things can be seen as representations or inspirations for others to know what to do and what not to do, and you'll be always the individual who can receive that energy and can do what they want with it. So keep that in mind also. And it's utilized into the spectrum of Mercury. So make sure it's dealing with things that's dealing with your mind, analyzing, communicating. Also, 11th house is with the sun. So make sure that energy in that house, in the 10th house, as far as associating yourself with others to be broadcast or make something that you're known for, make sure it's backed and supported by action or how you view things in some magnitude. So when it comes to your actual house lords, with these energies of you taking care of these things in the internal space, it'll put you into a position where you could be open to the world, and then any mistakes that you do receive, you'll understand why you're receiving them, and it won't be so harsh to the point that you thinking so down on yourself and being so hard on yourself that actually start to interfere with your actions and how you dictate your moves, and therefore it'll lead you away from what you're here supposed to do. For an example, this is the best way I can explain it, this is not you, this is an analogy, a metaphor. It could be a person who not even necessarily ugly, but they went through a situation or a relationship where things may have took place where a person may have said they was ugly, and this person's heart may be broken now. Now the person may have numerous reasons why they may have called this individual ugly. It might have been that they just don't even want to be in a relationship anymore, so that was their best way to get away from the individual, and they deep down inside don't even think the individual ugly. But see, the individual who think they're ugly might really start to think that the individual who is called ugly might really start to think that they're ugly, so that might start dictating their actions future wise, to the point that they may even not be open enough, or be in certain locations, or dealing with certain, or being open to certain conversations that might involve into a future of another relationship in some way, shape, or form, due to the fact of them already thinking that everybody might think they're ugly. So this might be a person who's taking something that may not necessarily be what it is, and utilizing it for future references. So that's what helps block an individual. So keep that in mind also. So it'll lead a person like this to start doing other things in order to feel secure in this world. So you can kind of utilize that with like the magic square and jobs, and us not feeling secure within ourselves based upon failure. of our own individual way of going about something not working the first few times. So that's what the House of Lords is basically all about.